Now, I think Miko, you had a good point. He is not, and I'm going to say he's not the same size as Trey Lance, right?
No.
And he's not the same size as Josh Allen. I think that's the thing, right? We're comparing him to these guys, and he's not the same. They're very generally the same. But for his ball speed to be off the charts, for his ball to cut through the wind like that, and the biggest thing that I think, which I think Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and company is that he's a leader, right? A leader of young men, and the fact that, like he says, that the way in which the players rallied around him and followed him, to me, that's something that you really can't quantify. And it's something to be said. I think it's something that the Lions want. It's that it factor, right? I mean, he even says it.
Sure.
He's got something there. And I think that's what the Lions, that's what Dan Campbell's looking for, is that it, right? Sure. Which you can't quantify now. And that's my thing. So I don't think we give up anything for him. I don't think we take him with our draft pick, right? I don't think he'll fall to our second pick. And so I just don't think we are able to get him. The only way to get him is to trade back. And I don't think we do that. We need everything.
You mean trade up?
Yeah, trade up.
Yeah. So
or trade our first round pick back. Like, I'm just saying, or trade back.
Oh, you mean trade like back from
back?
Two?
Yes.
Oh no, there's no way in hell you do that.
I'm just saying all options are on the I'm just saying, people, I know you no. I wouldn't. People have been saying that though.
To John's point, right?
What's enough?
Malik did have a great week. He had a fantastic week. And again, a lot of that is credit to, you took a guy that played at a small school like Liberty. He went and he got to play against the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Auburns, got to throw against those caliber of players. And he looked good. Now, he didn't look great. Like, this entire group of quarterbacks is a mixed bag. Like, in my mind, Kenny Pickett is still probably the number one quarterback.
Small hands.
And he's had small hands this whole time, and he still almost won the Heisman. Like, he was still in Heisman voting. He wears gloves. He's been a fantastic passer of the football for many seasons while he was at Pitt, and he was still consistent at the Senior Bowl. Didn't wow, but like, he was consistent. And like I told John before we started recording, if you like Kenny Pickett hasn't given you a reason to not like him.
Right. I also heard he's the most mature.
Yeah.
Right. With his interviews, he was very mature.
So
he's a fifth year.
So you look at that, and yes, Malik Wild,
fifth year senior.
But then you look at the game. Desmond Ridder had the best game, right? Like, on the field,
hear that, yeah. He
looked very, very promising. So you start to look at, okay, well, Malik, Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, who hasn't been able to play yet because he's, injured and he's not a senior. So we won't see him until combine and pro days and stuff like that. These four guys, like, it's going to be a matter of preference and what you're willing to put your money on. I still think Kenny Pickett probably goes first because I think he's the sure thing. And anybody who needs a quarterback is probably going to be looking for a sure thing. Can't necessarily take the gamble that Malik Willis is going to have. And then we got to see what Matt Corral is. He was somebody that was considered maybe the number one quarterback at a time, and maybe he goes before Malik. Does somebody like what they see in Desmond Ridder? Big 6'4" guy, strong arm, maybe not quite as strong as Malik, but he has a strong arm. Like, that was one of the things coming out about Desmond Ridder as well, that he was like throwing lasers as well. And he proved, at least in the game, that he's a gamer. So can you get him into a system where he flourishes?
Sure.
I do think we need to pump the brakes a bit on Malik. I would love for the Lions to get him. And if the Lions love him, if everything that you just laid out about his leadership, the velocity, all these types of things, and you think that you can nurture that, then you should trade up and get it. You shouldn't let that just be like, oh, well, we think we see all the signs of a star and we're just not going to go after it. No, you go after it. I'm not saying you need to, but if that is what we think the Lions are saying and thinking behind closed doors, you absolutely should be looking at that 32 pick and probably packaging it with the second first round pick that you'll have next year and trying to go from 32 up into the teens.
To your point about Malik Willis, and I know I've been on the Jared Goff train, as our loyal listeners will know.
What are you, rear end?
So it's tough for me to say, because we were just coming from talking about Aubrey Pleasant, Ben Johnson. So it's tough for me to say, oh yeah, trust the process. In Brad Holmes, we trust. They got Aubrey Pleasant. They'll get another guy just as effective. But then to turn around and say, well, I don't think they should have taken Malik Willis. To your point, if this guy does in fact check all the boxes, then you can't not trust that and then turn around and say, oh yeah, I totally trust them to pick the next secondary coach.
Yeah.
You either trust their decision-making ability or you don't. Sort of in this, you're sort of in for a penny, in for a pound in this regard. So I think as someone who has defended Jared Goff on this podcast many times, I feel like I have to agree with you, Miko. If Malik Willis does in fact check all the boxes, and they do take him, then you know what? I'll have to deal with it.